Um, so kicking things off, good morning and welcome. I'm Anthony McAuliffe, Acting Director of Communications for Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks. We are here this morning to discuss a very important win for Prince George's County and the state of Maryland. Through the combined efforts of Team Maryland, who has gathered here, we were able to secure a $25 million raise grant for significant investments in trails in Prince George's County and across our region. So we have a number of outstanding, let's give a round of applause for that. So we have some outstanding federal, state, and local leaders gathered here this morning that you will hear from. In order, those leaders include Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks, Administrator Shaylin Batt, who leads the Federal Highway Administration, U.S. Senator Ben Cardin, U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen, Congressman Steny Hoyer, Congressman Glenn Ivey, Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller, Maryland Department of Transportation Secretary Paul Wiedefeld, and then rounding it out will be Prince George's County Planning Board Vice Chair Dorothy Bailey. So following remarks from these leaders, we will take a few questions from the podium regarding this federal raise grant, and then we'll wrap it up. So with that, I will turn things over to our county executive, Ms. Angela Alsobrooks.
Well, good morning, everyone. All right, what an exciting day it is. And I hope I'm talking loud enough because I want everyone to hear what we are prepared to announce today. I'm so proud to be here with Team Maryland today to announce yet more good news about the developments that are happening in Prince George's. You're going to hear from them, but it is worth repeating our thanks to Senator Ben Cardin, Senator Chris Van Hollen, Congressman Steny Hoyer, Congressman Glenn Ivey, and to welcome them this morning to this press conference. I'd also like to welcome our super bad Lieutenant Governor, Aruna Miller, our Federal Highway Administration Administrator, Shaylin Batt, Maryland Department of Transportation Secretary, Paul Wiedefeld, Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission Vice Chair, Dorothy Bailey, and all of our other elected officials who are in attendance today. I see that Delegate Jazz Lewis is here from the 24th District. Certainly want to thank him. I'd also like to acknowledge, yes, if you can help me to thank each of them. I'd also like to acknowledge someone whose skills and talents, I tell you, continue to amaze me, and it is in the presence of our Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Economic Development, Angie Rogers, who I saw a moment ago. Angie is there back having a conversation. Wave your hand. She is so incredibly talented and want to thank her also. I am proud to formally announce that Prince George's County, in conjunction with Montgomery County and the District of Columbia, have been awarded $25 million in Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity grant. This grant will fund significant investments in the regional paved trail network across underserved communities in our county and our region. A lot of work went into securing this grant. The proposal was submitted by our office on behalf of the Prince George's County Department of Parks and Recreation, Montgomery County Parks, and the District Department of Transportation. We also work with the Capital Trails Coalition, a collaboration of public and private organizations, agencies, and volunteers with the goal of connecting Virginia, Maryland, and the District of Columbia through a trail network. Representatives are here with us this morning from the coalition, and I'd like us just to take a moment, please, to acknowledge and thank them as well. I would also like to thank our federal, state, and regional partners for all that they have done on our behalf to secure this grant, many of whom are with us today. Prince Georgians will continue to benefit greatly as a result of your dedication and your hard work. By now, you may be familiar with our vision to revitalize what we have talked about over and over again. We are so excited and proud about the Blue Line Corridor. It is a vision of economic development and economic opportunity that we have waited for a very long time in Prince George's. But it's also a vision of smart growth, and a major part of this involves making the surrounding area all around us more walkable and bikeable, and providing amenities for those neighborhoods that have been overlooked for such a long time. Today, we are standing along the future Central Avenue Connector Trail, a critical component of our Blue Line Corridor vision, that will connect communities up and down this corridor, going from the District of Columbia line starting in Capitol Heights up to Largo. And I'm proud to say that this is one of 6 projects that are funded by this RAISE grant. We secured funding for the first phase of the Central Avenue Connector Trail during the 2022 Maryland General Assembly session, and this RAISE grant will now support the second phase. The completion of this project will provide cyclists and pedestrians an alternative to highway travel and will also provide convenient access to the new regional hospital in downtown Largo, as well as schools and regional parks. As we celebrate this grant, I want to note how historic this is for Prince George's County. This is now the second RAISE grant that Prince George's has received in the past year. In August of 2022, we received $20.5 million from US DOT for infrastructure improvements at New Carrollton, including building a new train hall. Prior to this, I want everyone to hear that our county had never been a recipient of a federal RAISE grant. So we are so excited that we are now seeing this historic funding because our administration has also made it a priority. And I want to thank our federal delegation that we work together to bring home these federal dollars to Prince George's, working in collaboration with our partners and working to secure the grants. The RAISE grant that we're announcing today is the latest step toward realizing our vision for the Blue Line Corridor. And if you recall, earlier this year, the Maryland Board of Public Works approved a memorandum of understanding between the county and the Maryland Stadium Authority for $400 million in bonding authority to build 5 signature projects along the Blue Line Corridor. Those projects include an amphitheater, a youth sports field house, civic plaza, library and cultural center, and a market hall. And once again, the funding that we were able to secure from the Maryland Stadium Authority, you should know, was the first time that Prince George's County has ever gotten funding for a project in Prince George's County. So we're so proud of that. We're proud as well. This was the first project that the Moore administration voted on in that Board of Public Works board. So we're so proud of that. Right now, we're working also to solicit design teams for the Civic Plaza and Youth Sports Field House. And during the 2023 Maryland General Assembly session, we secured the necessary funding to complete the new University of Maryland Capital Region Cancer Center in Largo, the county's first freestanding cancer center. The awarding of this RAISE grant opens the door for even more progress for our vision and for our county. And so again, I want to thank our federal, state, and regional partners for their shared commitment to improving the quality of life for our residents and helping make our county and region more walkable and bikeable. Together, we are making Prince George's County stronger and more sustainable every day. So thank you, everyone, for all of your hard work. And now I'm pleased to turn over this part of the program to Administrator Shaylin Batt from the Federal Highway Administration. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Well, good morning, and I have a haircut that is well suited to bright, sunny days like this, so I'm going to be even more truncated in my remarks. But I just want to, on behalf of President Biden, Secretary Buttigieg, I want to, direct everybody's attention to some of these renderings that are here. I always talk about transformation by transportation, and that is what this project is going to accomplish. And, looking out at this delegation, this is a very powerful delegation as somebody who's been around DC politics for a while, but that is not why you have received this grant. Obviously, they play a key role in this, but this project stands on its own merits. $25 million. And I also want to be clear that we awarded about $2.2 billion in RAISE grants out of $15 billion that were submitted from projects around the country. And so we are just super excited. And the president often talks about investing in America. And this, to me, is a critical project that when we're done in a few years, we'll have a biking and walking connection with transit, a revitalized corridor. And, it won't just be about getting cars more quickly from place to place. It'll be about moving people. And I'll just say, in my past life, I was the Secretary of Transportation in Delaware, We went from 31st to 4th in bicycle-friendly states. Maryland is a key mover in this space, and there are just exciting investments going on across this state. There's about $3 billion that has come to Maryland from the bipartisan infrastructure law, over 100 projects that are underway. And on behalf of President Biden, Secretary Buttigieg, super excited to see what else the state of Maryland and your local officials are able to come up with. So with that, let me turn it over to Senator Cardin, who played a key role in my confirmation, and just grateful for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Just on a side note, I'm not sure why the elected officials have the seat in the sun while everybody else has the better seats. But anyway, Administrator Batts, first of all, I want to thank the Biden administration. The Biden administration has invested in America, but has done it in a way to provide equity to communities that have been too often left behind. It's incredible what the Biden administration's been able to get done. When you look at the bipartisan infrastructure bill, you look at the Inflation Reduction Act, you looked at CHIPS and Science bill, the Biden administration's been able to invest in America. Biden economics, that makes sense. It's working. And this past week, Mr. Administrator, it was announced that Maryland's unemployment rate's under 2%. Your policies are working. And I tell you, we're very proud of Team Maryland and the Moore administration. Leave no one behind. Our distinguished Lieutenant Governor Runa Miller. We are working together to make sure that all communities are moving forward. And this particular raised grant is part of that strategy. The Blue Line Corridor, a corridor that is incredible potential and great growth in communities that for too many years have not gotten the attention they deserve. And I want to congratulate the County Exec Alsobrooks for your work on this, Runa Miller and our distinguished Secretary of Transportation, Paul Wiedenfeld. These are competitive funds. They're not easy to get, but you presented the plan that would make it work, and you earned these grants. So congratulations to our local team for making that happen. And I just want to brag a moment about the Maryland congressional delegation. You know, my colleague, Senator Chris Van Hollen, plays a critical role in the Appropriations Committee, Steny Hoyer on the Appropriations Committee, Glenn Ivey, who's hit the ground running in so many critical areas in the House of Representatives. Because this, as the county exec pointed out, this is not the only grant we're announcing, the $25 million raised grant, which is incredibly important, 15 miles of trails that are going to be constructed and renovated. That's big news, but it's part of a larger package that we've been able to get done. We can look at so many other projects that we've been able to get for our state and our community. We can look at what we were able to do in the Baltimore region, reconnecting communities, the Red Line's back on track, the tunnels that are being done. We can look at Mount Dolman, a transportation hub in a community that also has been not given the attention that it needs. There's so many projects that we've been able to move forward because of sustainability and equity, which is part of this grant program. So we're excited about this, as you are, Angela. This is an exciting moment, because it's reconnecting communities, giving communities hope for the future, investing in communities, and we all do better as a result of that action. So this is a time for Maryland to celebrate, and we celebrate with the Biden administration. And I tell you, I couldn't have a stronger partner in the United States Senate than Chris Van Hollen. He has been focused on making sure that we carry out the Biden agenda in Maryland the way that President Biden intended. We are proud that we're getting many opportunities that have been hard for us to get in the past. We are getting them this year. And one of the principal reasons is my seatmate in the United States Senate, Senator Chris Van Hollen. I'm going back in the state.
Well, thank you, Ben. And I think this sun shining on the podium as part of County Executive Alsobrooks' strategy to keep the heat on the federal delegation to deliver for Prince George's County. So it is hot. I'm going to be brief in my remarks. First, what you are witnessing is partnership in action. And I do want to thank County Executive Alsobrooks and her team, Dorothy Bailey, of course, with the Park and Planning Commission, but her whole planning group that put this idea and this proposal forward for consideration by the Federal Department of Transportation. To our state partners, Lieutenant Governor, great to see you, and Paul Wiedefeld, Secretary, and others here. Thank you, because this is working together. And of course, to my colleagues, Ben Cardin. Look, Ben Cardin, he has announced that he's not running for re-election, but he is running fast through the finish line. And even after that, I know he's going to continue to be engaged with all of us in support of Maryland and Prince George's County. Thank you to Ben Cardin. To Steny Hoyer and Glenn Ivey, they're hard at work every day in much harder circumstances in the House of Representatives than in the United States Senate. And the reality is that even as we work here to put these proposals forward, there are efforts in the majority in the House of Representatives to roll them back. So it's very important that we keep going forward. And on that score, I do want to both thank our administrator, Matt. Thank you for being here. And to the person who is not here, but Senator Cardin mentioned and acknowledged, which is President Joe Biden. Because without his efforts and without his signature when we were able to get the infrastructure bill through, without his commitment, not just a partner, but a champion in these issues, we would not be here today, because he has been very determined, very focused, number one, to increase our resources for our infrastructure, but to also make sure that communities that were so often left behind before are actually put front and center. And that's what you're seeing here, closing gaps here in Prince George's County that previously had prevented so many citizens of Prince George's County from being able to access the greater trail network, whether they're biking, whether they're walking, and connect to metros. This new trail network will now connect people to 4 new metros. We're both repairing rundown areas and also making them safer. I mean, it's hard to make sure you can access a metro if you have to worry about taking your life, put your life in danger every day, and also expanding the network by additional, I believe, 6 trails, another many more miles to make sure we both repair and expand. So this represents what I see as a win-win-win. It is a win because more people will be connected. It's a big boost in quality of life. Number 2, we're on a hot day. Climate change is real. The more people that we can get out of their cars and walking and biking to work, the better we all are off. And then, of course, when you get more folks off the road, it does relieve traffic congestion as well. So this is a big win-win-win. And I do want to close with the point that the administrator made, which this is a proposal that works on the merits. We passed a infrastructure bill that will bring $7 billion over the next 5 years to the state of Maryland in formula grants. But we also set aside billions of dollars for competitive grants. And Prince George's County, under the leadership of the County Executive Alsobrooks, has, as she said, competed and won for this, competed and won when it came to the new Carrollton, $20 million. And that's a national competition. Counties, cities, states, everywhere across this land are competing those funds. And this one stood out both because it's a critical transportation link, a trail link, and because it is focused on making our community better tied together in a more equitable way. So congratulations to everybody who was a part of it. The federal funding is essential, but the competition and the work that was done to put this proposal forward on behalf of people throughout this region is what put it over the top. So with that, speaking of putting it over the top, I want to thank somebody who I'm going to bring up here next, asked to come up, who has consistently over time worked to deliver funds in support of critical initiatives in Prince George's County, in Maryland. He's a national leader, but he never forgets the people he represents. I'm going to bring up Steny Hoyer.
For those of you in the sun, and those of you who have had the good judgment to be in the shade, I am pleased to be here. I may join you right after I speak.
That's right. That's right.
Administrator Batt, we're glad to have you here. And we're even more pleased to have your money here. I want you to know, not that that is everything, we understand that, but it certainly helps. As I was sitting there, Mr. Administrator, I was thinking about a ceremony that I attended just a few weeks ago in a neighborhood that was not such a hot neighborhood, not too many years ago. Now, this is my neighborhood, folks. If you walk that way on a really neat trail, about 2 miles, you're going to end up in the District Heights Apartments, where Steny Hoyer grew up and went to Suitland High School, not too far from here either. So I am really pleased to be here, and I'm really pleased to see this picture. The regeneration of a neighborhood, investment in people, investment in families, investment in community. That's what Angela Alsobrooks has been about, because as I was doing that ceremony in Suitland, which was my telling people what a great United States Senator I thought Angela would be. It's not a political event, I understand that, but that's what I was doing there. The fact of the matter is, she has been investing in Prince George's County, just as Joe Biden has been investing in America. As a result of that infrastructure bill, there are now 35,000 infrastructure programs in the pipeline. Some ground broken, some planned, some approved. 35,000 projects. You look at a map, there are black dots all over it. It looks black. Why? Because there's so many dots. This is one of those dots. Now, RAISE. I don't know if everybody's told you what RAISE means. You know, we had Tiger grants, had other grants. RAISE means Rebuilding American Infrastructure in Sustainability and Equity. Mr. Administrator, I don't know whether you'd be talking to the president, but we expect pretty soon this $25 million is going to be joined by about $3.5, maybe $4 billion for an FBI building just down the road. Sustainability and equity. This administration is committed to equity. This neighborhood's been overlooked from time to time. And when we got information about this grant, we called Angela, talked to Wes Moore and Aruna Miller, and they responded, yes, we want this done. And they supported this project. And I am very pleased that the two United States senators, Ben Cardin is a national treasure. I don't mean just for Maryland, a national treasure. One of the great United States senators. And Chris Van Hollen, his partner, as able a senator as there is. We have two partners in the United States Senate that are unsurpassed in their ability to fight for our state and for our county and for our communities. And so I thank them very much. Equity. Investing in places that can be better. And because they're better, their communities are better, their families are better, and their children have a better life. And so I'm pleased to join Angela in this accomplishment. We're our team Maryland. Surely we all work together. But we also know we have two leaders on this project. One is our governor and one is our county executive. And we thank them both. And Aruna, thank you for being here with us. Paul Wiedenfeld, thank you. Dorothy Bailey is going to be the closing act. She's the cleanup hitter. She's the one that's going to make it all make sense as our deputy head, and she has been such a treasure for Prince George's County as well. Thank you very much for your service over the years. So as the congressman who grew up, as I say, just a couple of miles away from here, who went to high school here, who played baseball, Mr. Administrator, just in the community over in Sea Pleasant, Capitol Heights, Sea Pleasant, as a young kid. I am so glad to see this 25 million, which seems like at the federal level, relatively modest sum, will have such a great impact, such a tremendous impact on this neighborhood and our families. So thank you very much for that. And ladies and gentlemen, I will now shut up and repair to the shade. God bless you. Was I supposed to introduce you?
No, that's all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friend and colleague, who not only hit the ground running, but is doing such extraordinary things for Prince George's County and for our people, the wonderful and extraordinary member of the Congress of the United States representing the 4th Congressional District. And Angela, I say there's a squiggly line runs through Prince George's County. Both Glenn and I ignore that sign. We represent Prince George's County, not the 4th and the 5th District, Prince George's County.
Well, thank you. And thank you to whoever made the shade come out. I bring you greetings from the Bald Men Caucus over here in the pine trees. Mr. Administrator, if you want to join us when the sun comes out, you feel free. You're more than welcome. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be on this federal delegation team, too. I was telling somebody a little while ago, it's like being the first round draft pick for the 1990 Chicago Bulls, the guys that kept winning the championships. And all you have to do is kind of get on the team and you know you're going to win that championship, too. That's what it's like working with Chris Van Hollen, Ben Cardin, and Steny Hoyer. This is just an outstanding team. It's an honor to be part of it. And Ben, we're going to miss you. I know you're leaving public office, but I know you'll never leave public service. We look forward to your things you're going to do. But for the next 18 months, we still got a full agenda for you. But I want to say a brief thing about Steny Hoyer. You know, the last Congress, one of the reasons we got all of these great things coming out for Prince George's County and across the country is that we had leadership from somebody like Steny Hoyer, who I think, frankly, has been the greatest majority leader this country has ever seen. Thank you so much for your service. It ain't over yet, but we definitely want to keep you going there. And to Angela also Brooks, your leadership on this front has been outstanding too. There's a lot of money that comes out and just goes directly to jurisdictions. They call it, you know, but this is one you got to fight for and compete for. And I want to congratulate you because Prince George's County hasn't always gotten these kinds of grants. There's a lot of money that has passed us by. We've missed some opportunities in the previous years. You ain't missed nothing so far. So I appreciate the work you're doing and please keep up the great work. I do want to say this as well. You know, this is a huge step forward for Prince George's County. I just came out of a meeting a few minutes ago. We're trying to bring more businesses to Prince George's. One of the things that these businesses are talking about are amenities, things like this that make a difference, make us more attractive to businesses and people who might want to move to the DC area or they're already in the DC area. We want to bring them out to Prince George's County. We've got we're really on the upswing out here. This ain't no stopping us now kind of moment. Things are going great for us in Prince George's. This is a huge addition to that as well. And the Blue Line Corridor, I think, is definitely a huge step in the right direction. So, all right, the sun came out. I'm going to take that as my indicator to move on to someone who has not only hair, but great hair. Our Lieutenant Governor, you're probably the best qualified to speak on some of these issues because of your background. You actually have, I went to law school because I couldn't do the types of science courses that you passed when you got your degree. But thanks for the great work you're doing as Lieutenant Governor, Ms. Aruna Miller.
Thank you.
And I'm going back to the shade.
Yeah, got it. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Aruna Miller, Lieutenant Governor of Maryland, and I want to thank everyone who's here today for this exciting announcement by the U.S. Department of Transportation to award $25 million to Prince George's County through the RAISE grant. This is a collective effort and investment in our shared regional priorities, which offers choices to all our transportation users. So I'd like to thank first, not just the super bad, but the ultra bad County Executive Angela Alsobrooke and her leadership here today. And I also want to thank our federal delegation, including Senator Ben Cardin, Senator Chris Van Hollen, and the no longer bachelor Congressman Steny Hoyer, as well as Congressman Glenn Ivey. Thank you for your warm introduction. And to the many state, local, and municipal leaders, Federal Highway Administrator Bott, it is great to meet you. So I always say that transportation connects people, and it just turns out that Administrator Bott and myself have a mutual friend together. And so we got to catch up after this. And by the way, his birthday's coming up Sunday. So an early happy birthday to you, Mr. Administrator. And also thrilled to be here, MDOT Secretary Paul Wiedefeld, and of course, Park and Planning Vice Chair Dorothy Bailey for your leadership. And a big shout out to the Capitol Trails Coalition for all the hard work that you did. This investment is a result of a partnership between the federal, state, county, and municipal levels. It's a regional partnership with our neighbors in Virginia and the District of Columbia. And it's a partnership of our shared priorities that cross county and state lines, priorities that grow our economies, priorities that ensure all residents have the resources they need, not just to survive, but to thrive. And I couldn't be more excited to be here at the future Central Avenue Connector Trail to talk about one of my favorite topics, transportation. You see, I worked as a transportation engineer for 25 years, and to invest in transportation means that we invest in the diverse needs of all users, and all users want options. And trail access is a crucial component to provide options of a well-rounded transportation network. Trail offers numerous benefits, including reduced traffic congestion, like the one behind me, decreased pollution, improved health, preservation of our environment, and enhanced community connectivity. The RAISE grant will offer all of these benefits. It will enhance economic opportunities by offering commuting options via biking and walking to the 53,000 workers that are within a half-mile radius of the trails. It will enhance recreational opportunities by improving trail access for the nearly 300,000 residents that reside in Prince George's County, Montgomery County, and the District of Columbia. The RAISE grant will invest in 7 miles, as you heard, of new construction, 8 miles of trail renovations, and these trails will be in close proximity to 3 of the Purple Line light rail stations, which Governor Moore and Secretary Wiedefeld have been working hard to get back on track. And the 6 trail projects will connect 4 Metro rail stations, including the Blue Line corridor. And the first, as County Executive mentioned earlier, at the first Board of Public Works meeting of this term, Governor Moore, in partnership with the County Executive Alsobrooke, granted $400 million in bonds for 5 signature development projects along the Blue Line corridor. These projects will no doubt have the ability to be significant economic drivers to the community and long-term job creators. The RAISE Act grant is also one that is making intentional investment through an equity lens, as Congressman Hoyer mentioned earlier. The new trails and renovations will provide access to our regional, historically disadvantaged communities, whereby 80% of the households identify as Black or Hispanic, and where 90% of the households are low income. Equitable transportation is a critical aspect of a just and thriving society, as it enables individuals to participate fully in social, economic, and civic life. Governor Moore and I are delightful and grateful to the Biden administration for seeing the opportunities that come from investing in a fully integrated, fully connected transportation network, and for choosing to invest in Maryland, and for recognizing the importance of equity when it comes to how we choose to support our communities. The RAISE grant is an investment in the prosperity of our communities, the sustainability of our environment, and the well-being of all our citizens. And as they say, the road to progress is always under construction. So thank you all, and let's continue to work together where we leave no one behind. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the tremendous Secretary of Maryland Department of Transportation, Paul Wiedefeld. Sure.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. And I will be extremely brief because Ms. Bailey said if I don't get off this stage, she's going to come and get me. So I will be brief. But thanks again, Councilwoman. I'm sorry, County Executive. We worked together. I actually, when you were on the council, when we did some projects at New Carrollton to get that done. So thank you for the dollars for that, and thank you for the RAISE grant money we've gotten throughout the state. And it's all because of our delegation and the strength of them for everything they've done. Just on a personal note, this project is so important because at the end of the day, the department pays for 1/3 of the metro, and we need ridership. And this is what this will bring. So thank you so much, Miss Bailey. Come on up.
I had planned to sing this song for you. Good morning, good morning. We're all in our places with sunshiny faces. This is the way to start a new day, but it's the afternoon. It's not morning. But let me say good afternoon to everyone, and thank you so very much for being here. This is so wonderful for this area. This is where I grew up, also standing for just around the corner. We were practically neighbors, and so welcome to this community. On behalf of Chair Peter Shapiro, who regrets that he could not be here today because he's always afraid to send me because he knows I will talk too long. But the sun is shining and I will not talk that long today. 90% of Prince George's County households have unmet needs regarding walking, hiking, and biking trails. This will help us to change those numbers. From 2017 to 2021, there were 382 crashes involving bicyclists or pedestrians within a half-mile buffer near 6 project sites for Central Avenue Connector Trail. This grant is a great example. That's a plot, so you don't have to listen to me. This grant is a great example of branches of government working in collaboration to connect our communities and improve the quality of life. There are so many folk here from Park and Rec and Maryland National Capital Parking Planning Commission. Just raise your hands so that we can acknowledge you and thank you for the fabulous work that you do. This is the beginning to building, connecting, and preserving thriving communities where they can live more, play more for future generations. And I would also like to add an expression of gratitude to our county executive. And every time I get a chance to speak about her, I always tell folk, I was her babysitter. That's not quite true. My friend was her babysitter, and I helped raise this delightful young lady. Thank you so very much for all that you're doing, and let's keep up the good work in Prince George's County and throughout this region.
Okay, thank you, everyone. If there are any quick questions from our media partners about this grant, or if we just want to do some one-offs. Do you have something, Bob?
I changed to ask about the afternoon announcements. How those ones who might not be able to be there.
Who would you want to address it? We can do it.
Bellwood.
Well,
Sorry.
Millwood, as some of you know, deal with individuals and help individuals who have intellectual disabilities and does a wonderful, wonderful job. And they're getting a grant. And frankly, I can't remember the amount of that grant. What is it, half a million? To enhance their work to make sure as the sponsor of the Americans with Disabilities Act, as you probably know, we have made great success on access and reasonable accommodations. One of the areas we have not made the success that we really need to make is in employment of those with disabilities of whatever type they may be. Ben, did you want to say something about this?
Well, with Senator Van Hollen and Congressman Hoyer, and also Congressman Ivey, we've been successful because this team works together. What you have asked a question about is about a congressional earmark. And in congressional earmarks, we share the information among our 4 offices so we can maximize the amount of opportunities. And Melwood is an example of a great institution providing services that are desperately needed in our community, but they have backlogs. So this congressional directed funding will allow them to meet part of that backlog. So we're very proud to be their partner on this, but it's not the only earmark that we've announced for Prince George's County. There are many, many more because Team Maryland works together in order to get results. And I am pretty proud of the fact that our delegation is one of the most cohesive delegations in the United States Congress. As a result, we do better for communities. We've also prioritized communities that have been traditionally left behind. And this is another example of helping people. And it carries out Governor Moore and Lieutenant Governor Miller's commitment to leave no one behind.
I will be brief. The Melwood grant, as Steny Hoyer said, Congressman Hoyer said, is to focus on job opportunities for people with disabilities, intellectual disabilities or developmental disabilities. And there are a whole lot of ways that we can help those individuals become more self-sufficient, to empower them in their lives. And that's what the grant for Melwood is all about. As Senator Cardin said, we've been in Prince George's County many times talking about these investments, targeted investments. And in addition to Melwood, we're also going to be doing one today for the Prince George's County ARC, which of course is also a great organization focused on helping people with disabilities be able to achieve their full potential.